Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. You don't have to chase everything in this life to prove that you're worthy. You don't have to run yourself into exhaustion trying to make people see your value. Faithful women, they know something the world keeps forgetting. They know how to stand still in the middle of the storm and trust that God's plan is bigger than any chaos around them. You see, when you know who you are, you don't have to go chasing after love or opportunity or success. You become a magnet for everything meant for you. You draw it in because you're aligned. Your heart is open, but your spirit is anchored. That's the difference. When you live with faith, you radiate a confidence that can't be faked. You give off a peace that makes other people wonder, what is it about her? Faithful women understand that timing is not theirs to control. They don't force doors open. They prepare, they pray, they trust. And when the time is right, the doors swing open so wide, nobody can deny it was God who did it. That's the kind of life you deserve. A life where you don't have to beg to be chosen, because you already know you were chosen from the start. Stop believing you have to earn your worth. You already have it. Walk like you know it. Talk like you believe it. When you do, the right relationships, the right opportunities, the right blessings, they come to you effortlessly. That's not magic. That's faith in action. That's what happens when you refuse to compromise your values for quick wins or shallow applause. So today, make a decision to stop chasing and start attracting. Be faithful over the little things. Show up with gratitude even when it's hard. Keep your spirit steady, because the moment you decide to trust instead of strive, you'll see how fast your life changes. You'll realize everything you need has been waiting for you to stand still long enough to receive it. Faithful women trust divine timing instead of forcing outcomes. They understand that there is a season for everything, and no amount of striving or stressing can make things happen before their appointed time. They have learned to be patient in a world that praises hustle and urgency, because they know that what is truly meant for them will arrive when it's supposed to. This doesn't mean they are passive or lazy. Rather, it means they are rooted in a quiet confidence that God's plan unfolds exactly as it should. They wake up each day knowing that while they have responsibilities, ambitions, and dreams, they don't have to manipulate or scheme to make their life look a certain way. Faithful women refuse to compromise their integrity for short-term gains. They are not interested in shortcuts because they trust that anything gained through dishonesty or desperation will eventually crumble. They understand that blessings built on faith and character endure, while those built on fear and impatience tend to fall apart. Faithful women also recognize that trying to force outcomes only leads to exhaustion. When you are constantly pushing and pulling, attempting to control every detail, you drain your spirit and lose your peace. These women know how to release their plans into God's hands without giving up their hope. They have learned the delicate balance between taking action and letting go. When it's time to work, they give their best effort. When it's time to wait, they rest without guilt. They have developed the strength to endure seasons of silence when nothing seems to be moving forward. Instead of panicking or questioning their worth, they lean deeper into faith. They remind themselves that some of the most important growth happens beneath the surface, where no one can see. Like a seed in the soil, their prayers and preparation are hidden for a time, but eventually new life breaks through. A faithful woman does not compare her timeline to someone else's. She doesn't look at another person's success and wonder why she hasn't arrived yet. Comparison is a thief that she refuses to entertain. She knows that God's plans for her are unique and perfectly timed. Her purpose isn't delayed. It is unfolding in a way that builds her character, deepens her trust, and prepares her to sustain the blessings she is praying for. Even in disappointment, she maintains her faith. When doors close or opportunities dissolve, she doesn't immediately see it as rejection. She considers that it might be divine protection. She has experienced enough to know that sometimes the things she wanted most were the very things that would have harmed her spirit or taken her in the wrong direction. Instead of mourning what didn't happen, she gives thanks that God sees beyond what she can imagine. Faithful women have mastered the art of surrendering the outcome without surrendering the desire. They still dream big, they still believe, but they don't let unmet expectations define them. They have cultivated an identity that is secure in God's love, not in the achievements or affirmations of others. This is why they don't feel the need to chase. They already know they are worthy. In relationships, a faithful woman does not beg for affection or compromise her values to keep someone's interest. She has learned that love built on manipulation or fear will never last. She trusts that the right person will see her heart and meet her with the same commitment and respect. She is willing to walk away from anything that diminishes her dignity because she believes that God can restore and replace what was lost. When it comes to career and purpose, she doesn't obsess over climbing ladders or proving herself to people who don't understand her calling. She focuses on doing the work that aligns with her spirit, trusting that the right doors will open when she is ready. She understands that rushing ahead of God's timing can lead to consequences she isn't prepared to handle. So she takes the next step in faith without anxiety about the outcome. Faithful women have an unshakable sense of peace that comes from knowing they are not alone in their journey. Even on the hardest days, they believe that God is orchestrating details they can't see. They pray instead of panic. They worship instead of worry. They choose gratitude over resentment. This posture of faith transforms their perspective. Where others see obstacles, they see opportunities to grow stronger and deepen their reliance on God. They have learned through experience that sometimes delays are divine detours. What looks like stagnation is often preparation. A faithful woman doesn't despise small beginnings because she knows that every season has a purpose. Even the seasons of waiting are sacred, refining her character and teaching her lessons she couldn't learn any other way. Faithful women are not afraid to let go of what doesn't serve them anymore. They understand that clinging to dead things only blocks new blessings. Whether it's an unhealthy relationship, a toxic environment, or an outdated dream, they are willing to release it when God says it's time. This is not always easy, but they trust that anything surrendered will be replaced with something better in due time. They are not easily swayed by external pressure or cultural expectations. They don't need constant validation to feel complete. Their worth is anchored in something deeper than appearances or accolades. This makes them resilient in the face of criticism and rejection. They know that their value isn't diminished by other people's inability to see it. Faithful women live with a sense of expectancy rather than desperation. They anticipate goodness because they believe in the faithfulness of the one who holds their future. They have seen God move before, and they trust He will do it again. This trust allows them to rest, even when circumstances are uncertain. They are committed to growth without becoming obsessed with results. They focus on what they can control, their attitude, their actions, their faith, and they leave the rest to God. This is how they avoid burnout. They know that striving without surrender is a recipe for frustration, so they choose the path of peace instead. Even when their prayers seem unanswered, they do not lose heart. They remind themselves that waiting is not wasted time. It is often in the waiting that they become the kind of women who can carry the blessings they have asked for. Faithful women understand that God cares more about their preparation than their promotion. He cares more about their character than their comfort. This trust in divine timing frees them from the constant anxiety that plagues so many people. They are able to show up fully present in each moment, rather than living in fear of what's next. They are not consumed by what they don't have yet, because they are too busy being grateful for what they do have now. When you watch a faithful woman, you will notice her calm presence. She is not frantically trying to orchestrate every outcome. She is not desperate for attention or approval. She moves with grace, knowing that every season is part of a larger story. She doesn't have to know how it will all work out to believe that it will. This is the beauty of trusting divine timing. It allows you to release the illusion of control and rest in the assurance that you are exactly where you need to be. It teaches you to be content without becoming complacent. It helps you grow without growing weary. And it gives you the courage to keep believing, even when the evidence hasn't shown up yet. They embody self, worth, and don't need external validation because they have learned that true value comes from within, not from the applause or approval of others. A woman who knows her worth does not look to social media likes, relationship status, or career titles to define her significance. She carries an unspoken confidence that radiates from the way she treats herself and the standards she upholds. She understands that validation that comes from outside is fleeting, temporary, and often unreliable. One day, people may cheer for you, and the next, they may criticize you. She refuses to build her identity on such shaky ground. Instead, she draws her sense of worth from her faith, her character, and the quiet knowledge that she was created with purpose. This kind of self-worth is not loud or boastful. It does not need to announce itself to the world. It is felt in the way she says no without apology, in the way she chooses relationships that nurture her growth instead of draining her spirit, and in the way she shows up for herself when no one is watching. She does not need to broadcast her achievements to feel accomplished. She does not need constant reassurance that she is loved, valued, or important. While affirmation is nice, she has learned that she can survive without it. Her self-esteem is steady because it is rooted in something deeper than circumstance. Women who embody self-worth understand that no one else gets to determine their identity. The opinions of others are just that, opinions, not facts. She knows she is worthy because she exists, because she was made with intention, because she has gifts and qualities no one else can replicate. This knowing frees her from the exhausting cycle of people pleasing. She does not have to twist herself into versions that will be accepted by everyone. She is content to be herself, even if it means she will be misunderstood by some. When a woman embraces her inherent worth, she stops tolerating relationships that require her to shrink. She no longer settles for love that is inconsistent, conditional, or disrespectful. She knows that being alone is better than being in company that makes her question her value. She no longer feels compelled to chase affection or prove that she is enough. She trusts that the right people will recognize her heart without her having to perform. This inner security shows up in how she responds to criticism. She can listen to feedback without internalizing it as a reflection of her entire character. If the critique is valid, she receives it with grace and uses it to grow. If it is unfair or rooted in someone else's insecurity, she lets it roll off her back. She no longer feels the need to defend herself at every turn because she knows that her worth does not rise and fall with others' perceptions. She does not compare her journey to anyone else's. She understands that everyone is running a different race, and there is no need to measure her milestones against someone else's timeline. This allows her to celebrate other women's successes without feeling threatened. She can clap for others genuinely because she knows their achievements do not diminish her own. Her self-worth is not fragile, it is expansive and inclusive. A woman grounded in self-worth does not attach her value to her productivity. She knows she is worthy, whether she is resting or working, whether she is achieving great things or simply existing. She does not have to earn the right to be loved by constantly performing or proving herself. She believes that she is enough as she is, and this belief sustains her even in seasons when she feels unseen or overlooked. When disappointments come, as they inevitably do, she does not spiral into self-loathing. She does not interpret setbacks as evidence that she is unworthy. She reminds herself that failure is part of the process, not a definition of her identity. She learns from her mistakes without using them as weapons against herself. Her inner dialogue is compassionate rather than cruel. She treats herself with the same kindness she would offer a dear friend. She does not berate herself for not having it all figured out. She gives herself permission to grow, to evolve, to change her mind, and to be imperfect. This self-compassion reinforces her sense of worth because she understands that being human means she will have flaws, and that does not make her any less deserving of respect. Women who embody self-worth also have healthy boundaries. They know what they will and will not tolerate. They are not afraid to disappoint people if it means protecting their peace. Saying no does not make them feel guilty because they have released the belief that their value is tied to their ability to be all things to all people. They have learned that boundaries are not walls meant to shut others out, but fences that protect their well-being. When you watch a woman who knows her worth, you notice that she does not seek constant reassurance. She does not fish for compliments or validation because she already believes in her intrinsic goodness. She receives love and affirmation gratefully, but she does not rely on them to feel whole. This makes her presence calm and magnetic because she is not secretly hoping others will fill the gaps in her self-esteem. She has already done the work to fill those spaces herself. She is not afraid of being misunderstood or disliked. She realizes that no matter how kind or genuine she is, there will always be someone who misjudges her intentions. Instead of bending over backward to control how she is perceived, she focuses on living in alignment with her values. She would rather be authentic and occasionally misjudged than inauthentic and constantly anxious. A woman who embodies self-worth can celebrate her strengths without diminishing others. She does not need to compete for attention or recognition because she is secure in the unique light she brings to the world. She understands that there is room for everyone to shine, and that her brilliance does not eclipse anyone else's. She also knows how to advocate for herself. She does not shy away from stating her needs clearly and confidently. She does not wait for someone else to give her permission to take up space or pursue her dreams. She has released the belief that humility means shrinking. Instead, she practices a form of humility that acknowledges her strengths and uses them to serve others without apology. She is resilient because her worth is not attached to outcomes. Whether she succeeds or fails, she knows she is still worthy. This resilience allows her to take risks, try new things, and step outside her comfort zone without the fear of losing herself. She knows that no external circumstance has the power to define her identity. This unshakable sense of worth also makes her generous. Because she is not operating from scarcity, she can encourage others, mentor them, and celebrate their growth. She does not feel threatened by other people's talents or beauty because she is comfortable in her own skin. Her sense of self is so complete that she does not need to dim anyone else's light to make hers shine brighter. She is selective about where she invests her time and energy. She does not waste herself on situations or people who cannot honor her value. This discernment is not arrogance. It is wisdom born from understanding that her life is precious and she has the right to protect it. She shows up fully in her relationships because she is not constantly questioning whether she deserves love. She is not clingy or controlling because she trusts that healthy connections are built on mutual respect, not desperation. She has learned that love should feel safe, consistent, and life-giving, not something she has to chase or convince someone to offer. Women who embody worth walk with a quiet dignity. They don't need to announce their power because it is evident in how they carry themselves. They don't need to shout to be heard or flaunt their accomplishments to be seen. Their presence speaks for itself. They have cultivated an inner life so rich and anchored that nothing outside of them can shake it. In every season, whether they are celebrated or overlooked, they remain steadfast in their belief that they are worthy of love, respect, and good things. They have chosen to build their identity on a foundation that does not shift with others' opinions or external circumstances. This is what makes their confidence sustainable and their peace unbreakable. They walk in purpose, which draws the right people and opportunities because purpose has a gravity all its own. A woman who lives with intention does not wander aimlessly or let circumstances define her direction. She has clarity about what she values and what she is here to contribute, and this clarity becomes a guiding force in her life. People can sense when someone is walking in alignment with something bigger than themselves. There is an unmistakable authenticity about it. When you meet a woman like this, you can feel her focus, her calm, her quiet conviction that she is exactly where she needs to be. She does not get swept up in every trend or distraction because she has already decided what matters to her. That decision frees her from the need to conform or please everyone. Her life has a center of gravity that keeps her steady in a world that constantly tries to pull people in 1,000 different directions. Because she is not fragmented in her energy or her identity, she becomes magnetic. Purpose attracts clarity, and clarity attracts people and opportunities who resonate with that same vision. A woman who walks in purpose does not wait for permission to begin. She understands that no one else can define her mission. She spends time in reflection and prayer to discern what her unique contribution should be. This sense of purpose may not always look dramatic or glamorous. Sometimes it is expressed through small, consistent actions, showing up for her family with love, building a business with integrity, serving her community with compassion, or creating something beautiful simply because it brings light into the world. When she decides to live on purpose, she begins to filter her decisions through a different lens. She asks herself whether an opportunity aligns with her core values. She does not say yes to everything because she knows that every yes requires energy and commitment. She is selective not because she is arrogant, but because she understands that her time is precious and her gifts are meant to be invested wisely. This discernment allows her to conserve her energy for the work and relationships that truly matter. Living in purpose also means she has resilience when things don't go as planned, because her identity is tied to her mission rather than her image or performance. She can endure setbacks without losing herself. She knows that failure does not mean she is off course. Often, it is a necessary part of growth and refinement. She uses every disappointment as an opportunity to learn, adjust, and strengthen her resolve. Over time, this builds a kind of unshakable confidence that does not depend on circumstances being perfect. People are drawn to this steadiness. In a world full of confusion and noise, someone who knows who they are and why they are here becomes a beacon. She inspires others simply by being herself. She doesn't have to advertise her purpose or convince people of her worth. The evidence is in how she lives, how she speaks, and how she treats others. Her consistency becomes her testimony. Opportunities often come to those who are prepared to receive them. A woman walking in purpose does not sit passively, hoping that doors will open without any preparation. She invests in her skills. She cultivates her character. She builds relationships based on mutual respect and shared values. When the right opportunity arrives, she is ready, not because she was lucky, but because she was faithful in the hidden seasons of preparation. Living with purpose also means she is willing to let go of things that no longer serve her path. She doesn't hold on to relationships, habits, or environments that distract her from her calling. This can be painful, but she trusts that creating space allows new blessings to arrive. She is not afraid of the unknown because her faith in her purpose is greater than her fear of change. There is something powerful about a person who does not chase validation because she is too busy fulfilling her assignment. She does not need to compete or compare because she knows there is room for everyone to thrive when they are operating in their unique lane. She can celebrate the success of others without feeling threatened because she is confident that no one else can do exactly what she was born to do. This mindset draws high-quality connections. People who are also living intentionally recognize and respect her focus. They see her as someone worth collaborating with, someone whose word can be trusted. Purpose becomes a filter that attracts relationships rooted in authenticity rather than convenience. She no longer feels the need to maintain shallow connections because she has experienced the richness of relationships built on shared vision and values. Walking in purpose also transforms the way she handles challenges. Instead of interpreting obstacles as signs that she should quit, she sees them as confirmation that she is stretching into new territory. She learns to be grateful for the resistance because it strengthens her resolve and refines her mission. She doesn't look for the easiest path, but the path that aligns with her highest calling. There is a serenity in her that comes from knowing she is contributing something meaningful. Even when recognition is slow to come, she continues because the work itself is rewarding. She understands that purpose is not about applause or accolades. It is about the quiet satisfaction of knowing that her life is making a difference, no matter how small it might appear to others. Her presence becomes an invitation for others to consider their own purpose. When people encounter someone who is living authentically, it often stirs something inside them. They begin to ask deeper questions about their own lives. They wonder what it would feel like to wake up each day with clarity and intention. In this way, her commitment to purpose becomes a ripple that influences everyone around her. She does not measure her impact solely by the visible results. She trusts that even the unseen seeds she plants will bear fruit in time. This faith allows her to stay patient and steady when progress feels slow. She is not easily discouraged because she knows that real growth often happens underground before it breaks the surface. When she looks back on her journey, she can see how every experience, even the painful ones, contributed to her purpose. She recognizes that nothing was wasted. The lessons learned, the resilience built, the clarity gained, all of it has prepared her for this moment. This perspective gives her the courage to keep moving forward, even when she cannot see the full picture. Walking in purpose is not about having everything figured out. It is about choosing to live each day with intention, integrity, and faith that her life has meaning. It is about showing up fully wherever she is, trusting that her presence matters. This is why opportunities find her. This is why the right people gravitate toward her. They can feel that she is not playing a role or performing for approval. She is simply living out the truth of who she is. Purpose is magnetic because it creates alignment. When her actions, words, and choices are in harmony, there is a sense of ease and flow in her life. She does not have to force connections or chase recognition. What is meant for her comes naturally because she is in the right place, doing the right work, with the right heart. Even in uncertainty, she has a compass that guides her. She may not know every step in advance, but she trusts that she will be shown what she needs to know when the time is right. This trust frees her from anxiety about the future. She can focus on being faithful with what is in front of her, confident that the next step will reveal itself. Her example is a reminder that purpose is not reserved for a special few. It is available to anyone willing to listen to their heart, reflect on their gifts, and commit to living in alignment with their values. It does not require perfection. only willingness, courage, and consistency. She embodies this truth every day by walking in purpose, and in doing so, she lights the way for others to do the same. They surrender control and allow blessings to unfold naturally because they have come to understand that forcing outcomes often leads to disappointment and exhaustion. A woman who has learned to release her grip on every detail knows there is a deeper wisdom at work in her life. She doesn't confuse surrender with weakness or passivity. Instead, she sees it as an act of courage and trust. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about acknowledging that there are forces beyond her understanding guiding her path. She has tried the path of overthinking, of strategizing every move, of trying to manipulate situations to her advantage, and she has seen how that only produces anxiety. Through experience, she has learned that some of the most beautiful moments in her life came unplanned and unexpected, arriving gently when she least expected them. She recognizes that control is often an illusion. Even when she thought she had everything figured out, life would present her with circumstances that reminded her she is not in charge of every outcome. Rather than resisting this truth, she has decided to embrace it. She has found peace in the knowledge that she is responsible for her actions and intentions, but not always the results. This shift in perspective has brought her relief and a sense of freedom she never experienced when she was trying to micromanage her destiny. A woman who surrenders control doesn't abandon her goals or lose her sense of ambition. She continues to work diligently, to dream, to plan, but she holds her plans lightly. She understands that being too attached to a specific vision can blind her to better possibilities. She leaves room in her heart for surprises, for detours, for the mysterious way that blessings can show up disguised as disappointments or delays. When things don't go according to plan, she no longer assumes it means she has failed. She asks herself if perhaps there is a hidden gift in the unexpected turn. Instead of spiraling into frustration, she pauses and looks for the lesson or the redirection. Over time, she has seen enough evidence to trust that life has a way of working itself out, often in ways that are far better than she could have orchestrated on her own. Her decision to surrender control has changed the way she relates to others. She does not try to control how people see her or what they think of her choices. She has released the exhausting habit of trying to please everyone or fit into their expectations. She knows that not everyone will understand her journey, and that is okay. Her worth is not dependent on universal approval. This acceptance liberates her to live more authentically, and her authenticity becomes a quiet magnet that draws people who appreciate her sincerity. In relationships, she doesn't try to force connection or manipulate affection. She believes that the right people will stay and the wrong ones will leave, and she trusts that both outcomes are blessings. She understands that holding on to someone who does not want to stay is a form of self-betrayal. Letting go of what isn't meant for her creates space for something more aligned to come. Even though letting go can hurt, she believes it is an act of faith that clears the way for true love and belonging. She has also surrendered the need to control timing. She no longer measures her life against arbitrary deadlines. When she sees others achieving milestones she hoped to reach by now, she does not allow envy to harden her heart. Instead, she reminds herself that every timeline is unique. She trusts that her season will arrive in its own perfect time. This trust has transformed her daily experience because she can savor where she is rather than living in a constant state of impatience. Her surrender shows up in her work. She gives her best effort but does not cling to the outcome. She understands that success is never guaranteed and that her job is simply to show up and be faithful to her calling. This approach has removed the pressure to prove herself through her accomplishments. Ironically, by letting go of the need to control every result, she often achieves more because she is operating from a place of peace rather than fear. This way of living also affects her relationship with herself. She is gentler, more compassionate, and less self-critical. She doesn't berate herself when things don't turn out the way she hoped. She doesn't see herself as a failure because a plan didn't materialize. She reminds herself that she is worthy regardless of external achievements. Her sense of identity is anchored in something deeper than performance or productivity. Surrendering control has taught her to embrace uncertainty. Instead of seeing the unknown as something to fear, she has learned to see it as fertile ground for possibility. She recognizes that her most profound transformations have often come from moments when she didn't know what would happen next. Rather than resisting uncertainty, she has begun to welcome it, understanding that it is often a sign that she is growing beyond her comfort zone. This surrender does not mean she stops caring about her dreams or goals. She still has a vision for her life, but she holds it with open hands. She trusts that if something is truly meant for her, no amount of striving will be necessary to keep it. She believes in showing up, doing the work, and then releasing the outcome into the hands of something greater. She has stopped praying only for specific results, and has started praying for wisdom, for clarity, and for the courage to accept whatever comes. She has found that this kind of prayer brings peace because it is not rooted in desperation. It is rooted in faith. The woman who surrenders control has also learned to trust her intuition. When she stops overthinking and trying to predict every possibility, she can hear the quiet voice within that nudges her toward the next right step. She no longer needs to see the entire path to move forward. She is content to take one step at a time, trusting that the way will reveal itself as she goes. By surrendering, she has also discovered the beauty of being present. When she was obsessed with controlling the future, she missed the simple joys of the present moment. Now she has learned to pause and savor the little things, a warm cup of tea, a conversation with a friend, the feeling of the sun on her skin. She understands that life is happening now, not just in the fulfillment of her plans. Her peace comes from knowing that she doesn't have to carry everything alone. She trusts that she is supported by grace, by the unseen currents of life working on her behalf. This trust allows her to rest even when there is uncertainty. She no longer feels she must earn every blessing through relentless effort. She knows that some gifts are simply given, not because she has done everything perfectly, but because she is loved beyond measure. She has learned that surrendering control is a daily practice. It is not a one-time decision, but a continual returning to trust. Whenever she feels herself slipping into fear or anxiety, she pauses and remembers all the times life surprised her in beautiful ways. She remembers that her limited perspective cannot always see what is being prepared behind the scenes. The more she surrenders, the lighter she feels. She no longer carries the burden of trying to make everything happen on her own timeline. She has discovered that there is a flow to life, a natural unfolding that requires her participation, but not her domination. This flow has brought her more peace and fulfillment than any amount of striving ever did. Living this way has made her more compassionate toward others. She recognizes that everyone is doing the best they can with the knowledge they have. Just as she has learned to release control, she no longer feels the need to control or fix others. She can love them without trying to change them, trusting that their journey is unfolding exactly as it should. In every area of her life, she has seen the wisdom of surrender. She has watched blessings arrive precisely when she stopped grasping so tightly. She has seen opportunities show up when she released her obsession with outcomes. She has experienced a deeper joy because she is no longer driven by fear. Her life is a testament to the truth that sometimes the greatest miracles happen when we finally let go. In the end, the message is simple yet powerful. You don't have to chase, force, or control every aspect of your life to be worthy or fulfilled. When you know your value, when you walk in purpose, and when you trust in something greater than yourself, you create space for blessings to unfold naturally. You release the anxiety that comes from trying to earn love or prove your significance, and instead, you stand anchored in the quiet confidence that everything meant for you will find you at the right time. This is how you become God's favorite woman, not by striving to be chosen, but by embracing who you already are. When you surrender control and honor your purpose, you attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right moments without having to chase anything at all.